Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to talk about how I got into motorcycles and why I ride. So I was always fascinated with motorcycles even as a little kid. And I can remember probably starting when I was about 5 years old. I would look through magazines, and when I would see a picture of a motorcycle, I would make my aunt cut it out for me, and I would keep them in this little wooden cigar box. And then every once in a while I would go through that box and look at all these pictures of motorcycles and dream of riding one day. And when I was growing up, about 2 doors up from us, there was a guy that he owned an independent motorcycle shop. And he would always bring home these custom Harleys that he built or that he was working on. And I remember every day when he went to work, he would roll out a bike, start it up, let it warm up in the driveway. And I can remember it, they used to be so loud and so cool looking. And I would run to the window every day. I heard him start one up, and I'd watch him get ready out there and put his helmet on and put his gloves on as the bike idled, and it would rattle our windows. And then I'd watch him pull out of the driveway and lean over and ride down the block, and all the car alarms would go off. And I would just look at it and I'd be like, yeah man, like that's what I want to do. And I can remember like a lot of the other neighbors would kind of look down on that house and say, oh well, they're the motorcycle trash, or they're this or that. And I was like, but I just thought they were having a great time. And all his friends would show up with all these different Harleys, and they were just so cool looking. And that's when I really, as a kid, I really got mesmerized by motorcycles. And I always knew, yeah, like that's what I'm going to do one day. Then as I grew up and I got older, it kind of went on the back burner. I mean, when I was in my 20s and I started thinking about getting a bike, and I was always met with like some negative pushback from my family, and that's understandable because they were worried because they're dangerous and things like that. And the group of friends I hung out with, nobody was really into bikes. I just put it on the back burner, went to college because I really didn't know what else to do with my life. Got out of college, had a couple jobs, couple office jobs. I found out quick that I wasted my time, that I wasn't cut out for the white collar world. I just hated it. So at that time I really didn't have the money to buy a bike anyway. So then fast forward to 2007, and in 2007 I got the job that I currently still work at today. Blue collar job, union shop. I was very happy with it. I finally had a nice stable income, and a couple guys that worked there had Harleys. A few of them had just gotten their license. A few of them, like, that's how I met my buddy Bobby. He had been riding a long time. And I'd bullshit with these guys and say, oh yeah, I always wanted to get my license. I always wanted a Harley, but I just never did it. And at that time I got that job, I was 28 years old. And so they told me how they went about getting their license. They told me about the MSF course, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation. I think at the time I did it, you had to have your motorcycle permit already, and you would go there. It was 3 days of training, classroom training, actual riding training out on the obstacle course. A lot of great information. If you want to get your motorcycle license, I recommend doing it that way. It's a lot better. It's a lot easier than having a friend try and teach you. You learn a lot more safety stuff, and it's convenient. They actually give you the road test right at the class, and then you get a voucher. You bring that voucher to the DMV and you'll get your motorcycle endorsement. So a few guys there had just done that, and one of them gave me a flyer, and they're like, well dude, if you want to do it this much, why are you still waiting? Just do it. And they were right. So that was 2007. The following year, 2008, I was 29 years old, about 2 months before my 30th birthday. I finally took the MSF course. Took the course, got my license. The final day of the course, I did the road test in the pouring rain, got my license, went to the DMV the next day, got my motorcycle endorsement. And then I remember saying to myself, well, it's fall. What I'll do is I'll wait till the springtime, I'll go around, I'll start looking at used bikes, and I'll buy something in the spring. Well, long story short, 2 weeks later I went to the Harley dealer and bought myself a brand new Sportster 1200 Custom. And that's where it all began. So I had my new Harley and I started riding. I started off slow. I would just go around the neighborhood, stuff like that. Do I recommend buying a brand new Harley as a first bike? I mean, I don't know. It worked for me. I'll be honest, I mean, I dropped it once. I think everybody does. I think I've dropped almost every bike I own, except for the new Sportster I just got at one time or another. It happens. It happens to the most experienced riders. Some people like starting out on something a little smaller, starting a little cheaper. So, you know, that's not a bad route either, going to get a used bike that you don't mind if you drop. I mean, I dropped a brand new Harley. I didn't do any damage to it. I had crash bars on it, which at the time looked a little ridiculous, a Sportster with crash bars, but hey, I was just starting out. I really didn't give a shit what it looked like. I just wanted to ride. So I got my license that fall. I took the Sportster out when I could over that winter to practice. And another thing that I lied to myself about when I had first started riding and got my bike, I said, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to use it for around town, and I'm going to venture out on some back roads, and that's probably all I'll ever use it for. Well, fast forward to today, at 40 years old, I've owned a bunch of bikes since then. I've ridden thousands of miles. I've traveled across this whole country. I've been in 42, I've ridden to 42 out of the lower 48 states. So yeah, I caught the motorcycle bug pretty good. It actually turned out to be all I thought it would be as a little kid. And I could go on for hours and hours and talk to you about how I love motorcycles and how I love riding and how it's become such a big part of my life. And all the people, all the great people that I've met because of motorcycles, all the places that I've seen that I never thought I would go see on a bike throughout this country because of motorcycles. I just can't say, I can't express into words how much I love riding. And, you know, for me, it's just, it gets rid of the stress. It gets rid of the anxiety. It takes you away from the rat race and the negativity of everyday life. It is truly my happy place. I can't say there are many other things in this world that makes me feel like I feel when I'm on a motorcycle. Whether it's a beautiful summer day going down some back road, or whether it's a cold, damp, dreary day like today, just getting out on two wheels, it takes me to another place. Like, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, how like motorcycles changed their lives. I mean, I think in a lot of ways motorcycles did change my life. I think motorcycles saved my life at some points. You know, we all have our times when we go to these dark places, we have bad shit happen in our lives. Motorcycles drag me out of that, and it continues to drag me out of that. Whenever I feel like my head's starting to get fucked up and I need to be a little more positive, I just get on my bike and I go, and it solves everything. And that might sound cliche, it might sound, you know, you might not get it, and that's another thing. Some people don't get it. Some people don't understand. Some people will never understand. My buddy Bobby told me that a long time ago. I would say, you try to explain to people about how great our vacations are when we go out and travel, and they just don't get it. And he said, he said, don't even explain it. He said, don't waste your time explaining it. Some people aren't going to get it, and that's so true. But if you ride and if you have the passion, believe me, you're watching this video and you understand. And it doesn't matter what you ride either. I mean, as you can see, I'm a Harley guy. It's probably all I'll ever own, but I could appreciate it. As long as you're on two wheels, I don't care if you ride a Jap bike, if you ride a BMW. Hell, I don't care if you ride a Vespa. But as long as you're getting out there and you know what it's like to ride, it doesn't matter where you ride. It doesn't matter if you've ridden across the country like I have, or you just go out and go about 50 miles from your house on a weekend just to get a ride in. I just say ride your bike. I know a lot of people that bought bikes that spent a lot of money on Harleys, and they just sit in the garage and they collect dust, and to me that's a shame. I mean, if you're gonna buy it, ride it. If you don't enjoy riding, then why bother having one? Why bother spending that money? So I just wanted to give you a little background about how I got into motorcycles and why I started riding. And in future videos, I'll tell you about my travels and the places I've been on my bikes and the bikes I've owned over the years. I just wanted to give you a little introduction. And hey, leave me a comment down below. Let me know why you started riding, how long you were riding. That's one thing I regret. I regret I wish I would have started much younger instead of 29 years old. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you have not already, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep your head on a swivel out there. Later.